inside the UCCU Center on the campus of Utah Valley University for a high school rewind game of the week. I'm Dusty Litzer. Thanks for joining us. Our matchup, the Lone Peak Knights and the American Fork Cavemen. Welcome, everybody. So glad to have you along with us. Got game 2 of this region matchup and an outstanding rivalry between Lone Peak and American Fork, and this should be a dandy. American Fork knocked off Lone Peak that night behind an outstanding performance from Spencer Johnson. He's going to be big again tonight. As game 2, it's kind of the same situation. American Fork dropped a couple of games after that Lone Peak win, and now they got to win tonight. It will time at the top of region play, and they'd have the tiebreaker with the 2 wins against the Knights. So this is a huge game for both of these teams. Let's talk about a couple of players to look out for. Number 1, you know from Lone Peak, Frank Jackson is a do-it-all player for the Knights. He's at that big game. 2 keys tonight. Number 1, Christian Papula. What's he going to do to help score? And number 2, will Nick Curtis get off again along the baseline and have a big game for Lone Peak? He had an outstanding game in the first game, but those will be big keys. And also Frank Jackson foul trouble that has plagued him a number of games this season. He's had to play very smart against American Fork tonight. Well, the Cavemen come in winning 3 straight games. They dropped the 2 games right after that Lone Peak win, and it put them in an interesting situation within region. Get to win the night, it'll be a big deal. And a couple of keys for American Fork. Number 1, Spencer Johnson. He's going to have to do what he did last time, and that's be somewhat heroic in this ball game and steady the offense for the Cavemen. Number 2, Brendan Bailey's going to have to find his stroke early in this ball game. And number 3, feed Dowlin Harley. The one mismatch on the floor for American Fork is Harley. There's not a big man that can size up with him from Lone Peak. He's going to be a big factor in this ball game tonight. We know our teams and a couple of keys. When we come back, I'll be opening tip-off. You are watching High School Rewind only on Xfinity On Demand. We're set for the opening tip-off. Harley and Jackson jumping it up, and it's going to be controlled. Tip down near side. It'll be Lone Peak ball. Up the floor with Frank Jackson. Jackson in the corner to Heaton. Thought about 3. Heaton in the lane. Kicks out to Doman for 3. Back iron and rebound to Heaton. Here's Christian Papula. Papula down the lane. Left hand off the window. Can't get it to go. And a rebound claimed by Polton. In the hands of Spencer Johnson, quickly ahead to Brendan Bailey, who pulls for 3, off the window and in, and he puts the guns back into holsters. Brendan Bailey goes off glass, and it's 3-0 Cavemen. Out top, Doma now on the angle, Papula for 3. Papula goes off glass. So back-to-back bank 3s, and ties us up at 3 just in about a minute into this ball game. Tying us up, 3-all here early going. Bailey again for 3. This one kicks off the front of the rim. Doman with the board. And quickly back down the floor with Jackson and the Knights. 3 on the way from Nick Curtis. And Nick Curtis from downtown. And it's 6-3, Lone Peak. Up the floor now, Braden Conde, give it up to Spencer Johnson. Drop it inside, and Harley mishandles it. Quickly on the floor now with Dylan Heaton. Heaton to the rack, and we got a charge. Spencer Johnson, or pardon me, that's Polton. Polton got back in time, and it's an offensive foul on Mr. Heaton. It's 27 remaining in the opening quarter. Back down the floor with Braden Conde and the Cavemen. So we got Conde up top at the high post to Harley. Give it up to Brendan Bailey, who jumps it from the free throw line, and Brendan Bailey now with 5 points. And one of our keys to the game was a quick start and a good offensive night for Brendan Bailey. And he's 2 of 3 from his first 3 shots from the floor. Struggled offensively in the first matchup, and needed him big tonight. Papula on the baseline to Curtis, up top to Doman. We got Doman, Jackson, Heaton, Papula, and Curtis on the floor for the Knights. Here's Frank Jackson, guarded by Brendan Bailey, one of the better defenders in the state of Utah. Jackson goes down the baseline, around the defender, and off the glass. First points of the night for Frank Jackson, and it's 8-5. Conde, give it outside to Bailey. Bailey has that popped away by Papula. Papula going the other way, a little bit of showtime from Christian Papula. Two-handed flush. Papula now with 5, and it's 10-5 in favor of Lone Peak. Conde to Johnson, drop it to Harley. Faces up on Heaton. Harley on the baseline. Kicks it up top, Braden Conde. Thought about it, hangs on. Bailey for his second three. Hits the deck on the defense from Jackson. No call and no bucket. Back down the floor with Doman. Floated up and can't get it to go. And Doman will go to the line to shoot two. Doman hits both free throws. And it's 12-5. Down the floor with Condi. Condi in the corner to Harris. Up top now with Spencer Johnson. Guarded by Doman. Kicks in the corner. Harris for three. Off the mark and rebound taken by Doman. Ahead to Papula. Papula transition three. Off the mark and the rebound. Out of bounds off of Harris. And will stay here. 4.5 remaining in the opening quarter. Jackson will trigger into Doman. Mentioned it was a double overtime game in the first one at the Marriott Center as Papula mishandles it in the hands of Harris. 2-on-1. Give it up to Harley. Big fella to the rim and finishes and one. Get the foul on Frank Jackson and Dallin Harley with the bump and bucket. He'll go to the line. The +1 from Harley. Big fella leaves it short. Rebound to Frank Jackson. Down the floor with the Knights. Jackson splits the screen. Hard to the hole and Jackson flies through the lane and throws it down. Oh, something nasty from Frank Jackson. And it's a timeout for Coach Meacham. 4:06 remaining in the first. Timeout. Cavemen 14-7 Lone Peak. So out of the timeout and the Frank Jackson throwdown down the floor with Condi. Give it up to Harley. Harley working on Curtis. Into the corner, Braden Condi. Back to Harley along the baseline. Swatted away by Jackson. Timed him up well and got the big fella. And we'll stay here with American Fork. Bailey triggers into Benji Judd. There's Spencer Johnson. Johnson fall away shot off the mark. Rebound claimed by Papula. Papula on the push. Papula down the lane, scoop it up, and it rolls off with the rebound taken by Bailey. Clear up the floor with Brendan Bailey. Stolen by Doman on the run now with Jackson. Jackson down the lane, floated up and score it. Frank Jackson. It's now 16-7 in favor of the Knights. Childs mishandles the ball on the baseline. We got a jump ball and possession arrow belongs to American Fork. Bailey to trigger. Gets it into Harley. Now to Johnson. Johnson will pull inside the three-point arc, and it rolls off. Tip up by Harley, no. And a rebound claimed by Jackson. Jackson transition three, and that's short. And that's going to go off Talmadge Gunther, and we will go with the Cavemen. In the first matchup, it was a complete opposite. It was a quick start for American Fork, and Lone Peak got things moving. And right now, American Fork has had to find something offensively. In that first game, it was Spencer Johnson that picked up the offense when the Cavemen needed it. But he started a little cold here in the first quarter. Judd drops it inside to Harley, and Harley lays it off the window. 16-9. Harley is the one big mismatch that American Fork has. He does not get in a lot of foul trouble throughout games. We've done a lot of AF games this season, but he is the mismatch for AF. Gunther for three, and Talmadge Gunther knocks down the long-range shot. And it's 19-9, Lone Peak. Talmadge Gunther is the starting quarterback, or at least was this season for Lone Peak. Double up sports for Coach Quincy Lewis. Out to Judd. Judd cross court Harley. Thought about three, hangs on, kicks out to Braden Harris. Harris has the ball slapped away. Loose ball picked up by Frank Jackson. Jackson on the push, give it up to Doman. Doman hard to the hole, off the window, and Doman stretches this lead to 12, 21-9. 1:35 remaining in the opening quarter. Benji Judd outside to Johnson. Johnson thought he'd get the foul, and there's the whistle. It'll be inbound along the baseline, and that'll be the first foul. Judd will trigger the inbound. Lob into Harley. Big fella is fouled on his way up. It'll be 2 free throws for Dallin Harley. Bruni comes in the ball game as Garrett Frampton takes a seat with 1:25 remaining in the first. Up the floor with Papula. Papula and Jackson both the two highlight reel dunks to get started. Dropping in Heaton, got a foul on Harley on the entry. A tough call against the big fella. And that'll be the second team foul on the Cavemen. First personal foul on Dallin Harley. Doman to trigger. Lobs in to Gunther, over to Heaton for three. That's off the mark, and a rebound is claimed by Doman. Got to the loose ball and a second opportunity here for the Knights. And he kicks it out to Frank Jackson. 1 minute remaining in the quarter. Jackson finds Bruni, couldn't handle the pass on the baseline, saves in, and Heaton couldn't get to it. And we'll go the other way with American Fork. 54 seconds remaining in the quarter. Up the floor with Benji Judd and the Cavemen. Tough offensive quarter for American Fork. Harris off the screen. Bump into Jackson, kicks out to Judd. Judd out to Harris, 4-3. And Braden Harris, a much-needed three for American Fork. 30 seconds remaining in the quarter, 21-13. Lone Peak lead. Jackson will hold near the midcourt stripe, looking for the final shot of the quarter. An exciting first quarter for Frank Jackson. That highlight reel dunk that rivals the dunk against Lehigh that he had earlier in the season. High post Bruni into the corner to Heaton. Heaton will jump it along the baseline, can't get it to go. Taken by Johnson, 5 seconds on the clock. Johnson go right at Frank Jackson. Johnson lays it off the window. And that'll do it for the first quarter. And a nice spurt at the end of the quarter off a three from Harris and a layup from Johnson off the missed three, or the missed jumper. And at the end of one, 21-15, Knights lead American Fork. Start of the second quarter will be Lone Peak ball. Jackson outside to Curtis. Now Papula. Papula dribbles off of his foot, and we'll go the other way with the Cavemen. American Fork's first possession of the second quarter. They ended the first on a 5-point spurt. They were down 20-10. It's a three by Braden Harris, and then the layup from Spencer Johnson. And now we're going to have the second foul, I believe, on Frank Jackson. And that is a big foul on Jackson. 2 fouls on the Lone Peak star. Bailey will trigger the inbound. Gets it into Johnson. Johnson for three. And that lipped out. Rebound claimed by Dolan. Back down the floor with Jackson. Going at Bailey. And Jackson called for the charge. And that's the third foul on Frank Jackson. And that is a tough one to take if you're a Knight fan or Frank Jackson. And Coach Lewis has got to be concerned. Now 3 fouls in the half. Block charge call, always tough. Even tougher at the high school level. But now Frank Jackson will sit for the remainder of the half. You got to believe with 7:10 now remaining in the first half. Outside to Bailey. And now a foul against Polton on the screen. And we'll go the other way with Lone Peak. 16 fouls on Lone Peak, 3 team fouls on American Fork. Papula, give it up outside of Talmadge Gunther. Gunther now Heaton. Big opportunity for American Fork. And now we're going to have some touch fouls here down the stretch. That's the 4th team foul on American Fork. Papula triggers into Jackson, up top to Doman. Doman kicks out to Papula. Doman now to Jackson, will jump it, that's for 2 off the mark. Heaton with the board. Heaton up top, Gunther. Gunther outside Doman. Doman in the lane again to Heaton. Heaton takes a big fella on the dribble and can't get it to go, and it'll be a foul. There'll be 2 free throws coming away of Heaton. Heaton couldn't get the first one to go. He's got one more. Back rims the second. Tipped up by Gunther, gets his rebound. Kicks out to Curtis. Couldn't get a clean handle and reset the offense. Papula going at Judd. Still hanging, closely guarded, call really close. Out to Doman. Doman kicks out Papula. Papula pull up Jay, and Christian Papula knocks down the jumper. 23-15. Down the floor now with Judd. Judd pull up Jay. leaves it short. Rebound to Harley, can't get the first to go and gets his own tip. 23-17. 5:50 remaining in the half. Here's Papula. Kicks out to Curtis, pardon me. And now Papula. And they'll reset the offense for Coach Lewis. On the angle with Gunther. Now Curtis. Curtis kicks over to Doman. Doman for three. Off the mark and a rebound tipped down, then taken by Braden Harris. Quickly ahead to Bailey. Bailey pull up Jay. And Bailey hits a long range jumper. And it's 23-19. Timeout. Coach Quincy Lewis. 5:15 remaining in the half. 23-19. Knights lead. Gunther inbounds to Christian Papula, young sophomore, moved in from Las Vegas, transfer from Bishop Gorman High School. Kicks out to Heaton. Heaton now Papula on the angle. Papula goes right at Brimhall, and there's a foul. It'll be 2 free throws for Christian Papula. Bailey comes in for Johnson. Papula hit the first and hits the second. 25-19, the lead for Lone Peak. Up the floor with Braden Condi, been quiet offensively. He hit 3 threes in the first half in that first matchup. Harris outside to Brimhall. Now Harley. Big fella gets it up top to Condi, now to Harris. Pulls for 3, and Harris front rims that. Tracked down by Papula. Other way with the Knights. Here's Heaton. Hands back to Papula. Down the lane, they're gonna have a foul on the drive. It'll be 1-on-1 free throws for Christian Papula. Papula hit the first. And the second rolls off. A little bit of broadcaster jigs there. Quickly down the floor with Johnson. Johnson terminates, kicks back to Brimhall. Brimhall skip pass to Condi, now hands off Johnson for 3, and Johnson hits his first 3 of the half. We mentioned offensively he was outstanding at 32 points in the first matchup, was our nudge player of the game. And that's his first triple. Papula will pull for 3. That one rims out, a rebound to Spencer Johnson. Johnson, give it up to Brimhall on the baseline to Bailey. An ASU commit. Pull up Jay, and that's off the mark, and a rebound taken by Curtis, and they're gonna have a foul on Brimhall. That's his second. It'll be 1-on-1 free throws for Nick Curtis. Curtis hits the front end. He's got one more. And hits them both. 6-point lead, 28-22. Been a good quarter for Coach Lewis and the Knights. We mentioned Jackson on the bench with 3 personal fouls, and that ball stolen by Doman, and then a foul by Condi. And it'll be more free throws for Lone Peak. Doman rattles home the second, hit both free throws, and an 8-point lead, 30-22. Been a stagnant quarter offensively for American Fork. Condi now picks up the foul. It'll be 1-on-1 free throws for Braden Condi. Condi hit the first, back rims the second, tracks down his own board, pulls for 3, and Condi knocks down the triple. Misses the free throw, tracks down his own board, and a big 3 makes it a 4-point game. Papula to Curtis for 3, leaves it short. Rebound Ben and Bailey. Bailey on the push, pulls, that's for 2, and that's off the mark, and a rebound taken by Curtis. Curtis quickly ahead to Papula. Numbers with AF. Papula driving down the lane, and they're gonna bail him out. Condi was waiting. They used a halo, gotta believe. And Condi picks up the foul. It'll be 2 free throws for Christian Papula. First free throw good from Papula. The second is off the mark, and rebound taken by Harley. 31-26 the lead for Lone Peak. Up the floor now with Braden Condi. Condi give it up straight away with Johnson. Johnson now to Condi. 2:20 remaining in the half. Condi gives up to Bailey. Now Johnson on the angle. Johnson going to the hole, working on Papula. Into the corner to Bailey. Bailey step back three. Off the mark and rebound tipped up and then claimed by Talmadge Gunther. 2 minutes remaining in the half. And Gunther will slow things up. Again, Jackson on the bench with 3 fouls, and Coach Lewis want to take advantage of possessions. Papula kicks out to Curtis into the corner. 3 on the way is blocked. Blocked by Harley on the push now with Johnson. Johnson off the screen to Harley, going at Curtis. Hands back to Harris. And back to Johnson. 3 on the way from Condi. And Braden Condi's second 3. His second 3 of the half. A much needed triple, and it's 31-29. 1:20 remaining in the first half. Papula bringing up the floor. Works off the screen of Heat and blocked by Bailey. Saved in by Harley in the hands of Bailey. They had Harris on the leak out, couldn't get it to him. Johnson on the push. Johnson transition 3 off the mark and a rebound taken by Curtis, no out of bounds. And we'll stay here with American Fork. 1:01 remaining in the half. Bailey will trigger the inbound. Gets it into Harley, quickly back to Bailey. Fall away jumper off the back of the iron. Rebound to Johnson. Johnson inside, takes the bump and gets the bucket. And ties us up at 31 with 50 seconds remaining in the half. Quickly down the floor now with Papula. Down the lane, send out to Heaton. Heaton would have pulled that earlier. Backs it out with Curtis. Coach Lewis maybe wanted the final shot of the half. As Doman will rotate to the top, 30 seconds remaining. Give it up to Talmadge Gunther. An interesting first half, an entertaining first quarter. Second quarter muddied up a little bit, but some big threes by the Cavemen after falling behind again by 8 points. Doman give it up to Curtis along the baseline. He'll rotate to the top. Hand off to Papula. Now down to 10 seconds. Papula working on Bailey. Papula down the lane, floated up off the window, can't get it to go. Rebound to Harley, and they're going to have a foul on Papula. Oh, Harley lucky didn't pick up a T there. It'll be Harley shooting 1-1. Front end a 1-1 for Harley. And her lips off. Rebound, tipped out of bounds. We'll stay here, 3 seconds remaining. Bailey to trigger with 3 seconds. Probably want to find Condi. He's got the hot hand. Inbound into Johnson. Johnson will float it up. Can't get it to go, and that'll do it for the first half. And at the end of 2 quarters, all tied up. Lone Peak 31, American Fork 31. High School Rewind is excited to have Nudge as our Player of the Game sponsor. Nudge is one of the fastest growing companies in Utah Valley. With over 500 employees, Nudge is one of the largest contributors of volunteer community outreach programs. To learn more about Nudge and their program, visit www.nudge.com. Second half underway here at the UCCU Center. All tied up at 31. Frank Jackson back on the floor. Outside to Spencer Johnson. Got it going at the end of the first half. Now Braden Condi, he hit 2 threes in that second quarter. Oh, nice find at backside, and Harley lays it up and in. And Dallin Harley is going to have to be a source of offense as American Fork takes their first lead since 3-0 off of Brennan Bailey's 3. Papula tracks it down. And we'll hand back to Doman. Outside, Christian Papula, drop it in to Curtis. Curtis working on Polton. Oh, pirouette toward the baseline, lays it up and in. Ties us up at 33. You see how long it takes Frank Jackson to get back in the flow. He had a nasty dunk in that first quarter. You'll see it on our top 5 plays on Saturday. Ball knocked out of bounds by Jackson. Will stay here. A little discrepancy. We had Jackson with 3 fouls. That's some other sources saying only 2. And we'll have him up on the board here. Bailey sends out to Johnson. Nice move by Johnson. Kicks out to Condi. 4-3. Leaves it short. Rebound was taken by Jackson, and then a foul. First foul on Spencer Johnson, the first foul the second half. On the Cavemen, down the floor with Frank Jackson. Jackson pulls for three. Bailey Babe got a hand on that. On the push now with Johnson. Johnson kicks out to Condi, 4-3. And it won't go. Tipped up by Spencer Johnson. And it's now 35-33 in favor of American Fork. Jackson holding up top, being guarded by Brennan Bailey. Bailey's got the length on him. Jackson down the lane, floated up and score it. Beautiful take by Frank Jackson. Back down the floor with Brennan Bailey. Been quiet since the opening moments of this ball game. As he will hand back to Braden Condi. On the angle now with Polton. Polton drops it into Brendan Bailey, guarded by Frank Jackson. Bailey tried to draw the foul, didn't get the call. Rebound taken by Jackson, got numbers. Papula on his left. Jackson, pull up J from the junction is good. And it's 37-35. Down the floor with Spencer Johnson, 5.5 remaining in the third quarter. Up top of Braden Condi. Condi, give it up to Bailey. Bailey will jump it and score it. Inside the arc, it's a two-pointer. Ties us up at 37. Welcome sign if you're an American Fork fan. Down the floor with Frank Jackson. Jackson to the corner to Doman. Up top now with Nick Curtis. Here's Christian Papula. Big fella cut on the baseline, didn't do it. Kicks it up top, Heaton, 4-3. Back rim and rebound taken by Johnson. Johnson on the push. Transition three, no, looked inside to Harley. Harley was looking up for the rebound. Turnover, and we'll go with Lone Peak. 4:43 remaining in the third quarter. Down the floor with Frank Jackson. Got Jackson, Doman, Papula, Heaton, and Curtis for the Knights. Jackson, fall away, Jay. Oh, that was halfway down and kicks out. Rebound to Harley. Harley, Condi, Bailey, Johnson, and Polton on the floor for Coach Doug Meacham. Nice take by Bailey off the window, and they got him with a charge. I think that one might have been good. Curtis was waiting for him just inside the key. A little tough. He might have been on his way up as Curtis got to the outside, but a charging foul nonetheless. 2 team fouls on American Fork. Papula kicks out to Doman, find inside to Curtis. It's out of bounds and will stay here. Jackson triggers into Curtis up top with Doman. And we have a foul on Spencer Johnson. Be the third team foul on American Fork and the second on Johnson. Jackson on the inbound for three, and he's fouled. Oh, a late whistle. Jackson will go in the line to shoot three. That whistle wasn't blown to the ball, kicked off the rim. But it'll be three free throws for Frank Jackson. Jackson hit the first, missed the second, and hits the third. 39-37 Knights. Down the floor with Condi. Condi outside to Johnson. Johnson down the lane, floated up, no foul on the block or charge as Doman was waiting for him inside the halo. Jackson, no dribble. Coach Meacham on a double dribble, no call. Clear down the floor now with Doman. Kicks out to Gunther, 4-3. Off the mark, and rebound taken by Spencer Johnson. Johnson has that ball slapped away by Papula and will stay here. Bailey gets it into Harley, hands back to Condi. Condi out, no, kicked out of bounds by Doman. Will stay here. Condi working on Doman. 3:10 remaining in the third quarter. Condi kicks out to Bailey. Working on Talmadge Gunther. Condi now to Harris, 4-3. Harris can't get it to go. Rebound was taken by Harley, slapped out of his hands. Ahead now to Frank Jackson. Jackson going at Condi. Oh, got by him with the jump stop. They couldn't get it to go, and it'll be a foul on Condi and 2 free throws for Frank Jackson. 5 team fouls on American Fork, 0 on Lone Peak to start the third quarter. Little trend to keep track of as Jackson splits the pair. 2:50 now remaining in the third. Down the floor with the Cavemen. See how quickly this evens up. It'll be free throws in the fourth quarter. And there's the foul, just as we timed it up, on Talmadge Gunther. As Bailey now triggers in. Gets it into Johnson for three. And Spencer Johnson ties us up at 40. Johnson from downtown. And it's 40 all, 2.5 remaining. Jackson off the window and gets it to go. Back down the floor with Condi. Outside to Johnson, drop it into Harley. Harley faces up on Curtis. Kicks out to Harris, resets. Faces up Curtis, goes baseline. Kicks up to Condi. Condi now to Harris. On the angle to Johnson. Johnson will float it up, can't get it to go. Rebound taken by Bailey. Bailey will jump it on the baseline, and Brendan Bailey will tie us up at 42. 1:55 remaining in the third quarter. And a back and forth affair in the third. 1:45 now on the clock in the third quarter, with Frank Jackson holding up top. Talmadge Gunther finds Curtis. Curtis terminates, kicks it back up top. Gunther now Papula. Here's Curtis. Curtis will step inside the three-point line and knock down the long range two. 44-42, 1:25 remaining. Johnson. Here's Bailey working on Gunther. Oh, nice shake and bake. Fall away. Jay won't go. Rebound taken by Gunther. Quickly ahead with Jackson. Jackson on the angle with Curtis. Curtis down the base. Reverse it and score it. Well done by Nick Curtis. And it's a 4-point lead, 46-42. Inside of 1 minute in the third quarter. Johnson. Now Harris thought about three. Now give it up to Bailey. Bailey's got big size difference on Talmadge Gunther, but sends out to Spencer Johnson. Johnson off the screen from Harley into the corner. Condi with the flyby, pull up two. Can't get it to go. Harris with the board, and Harris is fouled on the baseline. Fouled on the floor, will inbound along the baseline. It'll be the second team foul on Lone Peak. Harris gets into Bailey. Bailey pull up Jay. Couldn't get it to go. Rebound taken by Gunther. 30 seconds remaining, give it up Papula. Papula finds Dolman, and Dolman lays it up and in. Well executed by the Knights. It's a 6-point lead. Back down the floor with Condi with 20 seconds. Condi outside to Johnson. Johnson drops it into Polton. Kicks back up top to Johnson, 10 seconds now on the clock. They'll go 4 low with Johnson up top. Johnson crossover. Step back, lost his footing. Bailey tracks it down. This will count if it goes, and it's too strong. And that'll do it for the third. 48-42, Lone Peak leads the American Fork Cavemen. Start of the fourth quarter and a 6-point lead for Lone Peak. Jackson, Dolman, Curtis, Gunther, and Papula on the floor for Coach Lewis. Dolman for three, and a big three from Dolman. 9-point lead for Lone Peak. That ball stolen by Dolman on the push. Dolman going right at Condi, gets by him, off the glass, and goes. Biggest lead of the night, 53-42. Condi outside to Johnson. Johnson terminates, give it up top to Harley. Harley now out to Bailey. AF gonna have to find some offense here. Bailey splits the defenders, floated up well short. Rebound to Johnson. Johnson thought he'd get the bump, got the bucket. And it's a 9-point game, 53-44. Jackson down the lane and lays it up and in. Timeout, Coach Beecham. What a start to the fourth quarter for Lone Peak. 6:54 remaining in the fourth. 55-44 Knights. It's out of the timeout from Coach Beecham. Benji Judd checks into the ball game. 6:50 remaining in the fourth. Outside to Braden Harris. Harris, Judd, Bailey, Harley, and Johnson on the floor. Out of the timeout is Bailey, right on cue. Hits the big bucket. 47-55, 3 on the way, no. Rebound taken by Johnson. Big opportunity here for American Fork. Spencer Johnson answered the call every time in that first matchup. Been a little off and on here tonight. They're going to need him to pick it up here in the fourth. Here's Benji Judd. Judd up top with Harley. Outside to Harris. Harris holding, working on double picks for Bailey. Got it to him. Papula with him. Bailey will pull for 3 off the mark, and a rebound taken by Papula. 6 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Down the floor now with Coach Lewis and the Knights. And Lone Peak, they don't pull the ball out and take the air out. They go right at teams and look to extend their leads. Jackson up top with Gunther. On the angle now, Papula. Here's Curtis. Curtis kicks out to Jackson. Jackson jumps it over. Johnson, think he may have got a piece of that, left it short. Rebound to Harley. Big stop there for AF. 5.5 remaining. 3 on the way from Harris. Off the mark and a rebound claimed by Nick Curtis. Jackson will slow things up with 5:20 remaining in the fourth. Jackson off the screen. 3 on the way, won't go. The rebound taken by Doman. They're going to have a foul on the rebound, and that'll be the 16th foul on American Fork. It'll be bonus free throws. The rest of the way for Lone Peak inside to Curtis. Can't get it to go. He slapped off his leg, but we'll go the other way with American Fork. 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, an 8-point deficit for American Fork. Here's Johnson. Johnson off the dribble, and they're going to wave off the bucket, call the foul on the floor. It'll be the third team foul on Lone Peak. Benji Judd triggers into Harris. Harris for 3, leaves it short. Rebound taken by Jackson. AF unable to find that timely 3. Here's Jackson. Kicks out to Curtis. Curtis makes a long ways away from the hoop. Harris gets it to Jackson. Brendan Bailey comes out to get Jackson. Here's Christian Papula. Cross court to Doman. Doman had 5 points to start the quarter. And Lone Peak looking to eat up a little bit of clock. Oh, stolen by Polton. Off the hands of Johnson. Into the hands of Jackson for 3. Lips out, a rebound, Benji Judd. Missed opportunity for both teams. Down the floor, Judd give it up to Johnson. Johnson down the lane, send out to Bailey for 3, and Brendan Bailey. A much-needed 3 for the Cavemen. 5-point game, 55-50. 3:45 remaining in the fourth quarter. Jackson kicks over to Papula. Coach Lewis not happy with the non-movement. Give it up, Curtis out to Papula. Cross court, Doman gonna eat this clock up. 3.5 remaining. Doman working on the dribble, gives it to Curtis. Jumper, no, rebound, Judd. Judd working up the floor and get the foul on Doman. 14th foul on Lone Peak. 3:17 remaining in the fourth quarter. Condi will come in for the Cavemen. 3:15 remaining. Big offensive possession coming up for American Fork. Condi. Up top, Johnson. Johnson down the lane. Will jump it from the junction, and it crawls in. He got the shooter's touch a couple times there, and it's a 3-point ball game. 2:55 remaining in the fourth quarter. 55-52. Up the floor now with Frank Jackson. Working on Bailey. Jackson give it up to Christian Papula. And a ball stolen by Judd. Judd going the other way, Papula right with him. Judd lays it off the glass. 2.5 remaining in a 1-point game, 55-54. It's a 10-0 run for the Cavemen. They trailed 55-44. 2:20 remaining in the fourth quarter. Jackson comes up and takes a timeout. 2:17 remaining in the fourth. The Cavemen on a run, 55-54. Got a great finish coming up with 2:17 remaining in the fourth. It's out of the timeout for Coach Lewis. 55-54, the lead for the Knights. Inbound into Talmadge Gunther. Up top now, Christian Papula. Give it up to Frank Jackson. Jackson down the lane finds Curtis. Curtis stuck underneath the hoop and reverses and scores. And it's a three-point game. Judd, give it up to Polton. Harley set to check in at the next whistle. 1:55 remaining, possession arrow belongs to American Fork. And the ball stolen by Gunther. Going the other way, Polton giving chase. And Gunther lays it up and in. A lazy pass telegraphed and picked off by Gunther. And it's a 5-point lead. Timeout, Coach Meacham. Out of the timeout. Big possessions down the stretch for American Fork. Condi off the screen to Bailey. Out to Benji Judd. Drop it into Harley, and we're going to have a kick ball by Doman. Bailey to Trigger. Gets it into Judd. Benji Judd off the window, no. Rebound to Harley, and one. Big board and bucket for Harley, and he'll go to the line looking for the three-point play. Foul goes on Christian Papula. Harley at the line for the +1. 59-57, 1:23 remaining in the fourth quarter. Coach Lewis called for the four corners. Got 14 fouls on Lone Peak, 6 on AF. Jackson hard the hole, and luckily did not come down on his head. And they're going to get the block on American Fork, and it'll be 2 free throws. So Jackson missed the first free throw. They call a play violation on Benji Judd. He now gets another. And it rolls off. 60-57. One possession game. 1:05 remaining. Johnson off the screen of Harley. Johnson crossed to Judd. Lobs into Harley. Can't get to it. Johnson saves it into Harley. And it's still by Gunther in the hands of Papula. What a play by Talmadge Gunther. And then they get the foul where they thought they had a jump ball, and that's on Harley. Coach Meacham coming to talk to the official. What a play by Talmadge Gunther. Papula hit the front end and has got one more. And Papula, with ice in his veins, knocks it down. 5-point game, 62-57. AF has got to move quickly. Timeout, Coach Meacham. 45.9 remaining in the fourth quarter. Timeout, AF. 5-point lead for Lone Peak, 62-57. Johnson triggers into Condi, gets it back. Don't need the three immediately. Johnson down the lane, gets past the defenders and lays it up and in. 3-point game in the hands of Papula, and now the foul from Johnson. Probably the wrong person to foul right now is Christian Papula. He'll go to the line for the 1-and-1 free throw. Papula rolled in the first, has got one more. And front rims the second. Still 2-possession game, 63-59. Johnson down the floor. Johnson off the screen of Harley. Tried to give it up to Harley, picked off by Dolman. Oh, he read the play. Saw the screen and roll, and now in the hands of Frank Jackson. Ahead to Dolman, now a foul from Harley. And what a play by Dolman. He read the pass, picked it off, and he'll go to the line and look to ice this game away with 19 seconds remaining. 19 seconds remaining. Dolman missed the first free throw. And the second is good. 5-point game. 64-59. Hand back to Judd. They got to move quickly. Judd down the lane. Can't finish. And the rebound is out of bounds off of Lone Peak and will stay here. 9 seconds remaining for American Fork. Judd will trigger. It's got to have to be a quick shot here for the Cavemen. Gets it into Johnson and a foul by Dolman, but he had plenty to give. It's only the 15th foul on Lone Peak. Judd will trigger again. 8.5 now on the clock. Got it into Johnson. Johnson will lay it up and in. Timeout. Timeout taking Coach Meacham. 6.1 remaining, 64-61. Dolman to trigger. And got it into Curtis. Curtis is fouled with 5.2 remaining. It'll be 2 free throws for Nick Curtis. Curtis hit the first. And rolls out the second into the hands of Johnson, and that'll essentially do it. Johnson will lay it up and in as time rolls out. And the Lone Peak Knights avenged an early season loss. And the final score, Lone Peak 65 and American Fork 63. And again, welcome back to the UCCU Center. Our final score, Lone Peak 65, American Fork 63. Lone Peak able to get revenge for their loss earlier on in the season, and a big win tonight, and really a testament to this team and what they're going to have to go throughout the state tournament. American Fork came in this game rolling, having won their last 3 games. Offense was moving very, very well, but in this game, it was all about what other players did for Lone Peak, not named Frank Jackson. That first quarter, Frank Jackson had a highlight reel dunk. Looked like he was going to have things rolling. He gets into foul trouble early in the second quarter, and at that time, I really thought that you would see American Fork take over that game. American Fork was able to battle back and tie the game up at 31 at the half. And in the second half, it was other players stepping up and playing very, very well. Frank Jackson did his thing, but it was other players that made big plays. Talmadge Gunther made huge plays down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Nice plays as well from Nick Curtis. And then also Tyson Dolman opened up the fourth quarter with 5 points. Those players stepped up and played very well. They'll have to do that in the state tournament if Lone Peak is going to repeat as champions once again. For American Fork, it was a nice game from Brennan Bailey. Spencer Johnson was a little off and on, and surprisingly tonight, Harley was unable to get going as he had the advantage in the post. Just couldn't quite find the offense for him. I thought it was a nice job by Coach Lewis and the way they defended him, but things just did not go the way that Coach Meacham thought they might, but really to American Fork and to show how good they are. And a night of which things were not running on all cylinders, they were in this game and found their way back into the game over and over again. The crucial moments was which they were trailing 55-44, a 10-0 run cut it to 1 point. But there, Lone Peak got things righted, and that's where Talmadge Gunther, our nudge player of the game, stepped up and played very, very well, had huge plays, went on a nice run, and helped clinch this game for Lone Peak. He may not lead in the box score, and he's not the best player on the team, but tonight he made the plays that won the game for Lone Peak, and that is why Talmadge Gunther is our nudge player of the game. With over 500 employees, Nudge is one of the fastest growing companies in Utah Valley. To learn more about Nudge and its community outreach programs, go to www.nudge.com. Again, our final score, Lone Peak 65, American Fork 63. Our nudge player of the game, Talmadge Gunther. For Vince Francis, I'm Dusty Litzer. Thanks for joining us on Watching High School Rewind, only on Xfinity On Demand.